Hi guys, good evening. I am Ilangovan, Axi.com online teaching personal for zoology. So we are talking about the biodiversity in the level of invertebrate group. And so far we have studied the different phyla up to Arthropoda. So I have given so many instructions and also the information regarding Arthropoda. And one person by name, that is Bhavati, posted a question. I have seen that question today only. What is the name of the disease caused by a nosema, a protozoan parasite, in the case of silkworm? So the name of the disease caused is febrile disease. Febrile. So nosema, a protozoan parasite, good evening, that causes the disease what is called febrile disease. Febrile disease. That's the question posted the last week by biology. So take the answer for that one. Febrile disease caused by a protozoan parasite nosema. Now let's go further. Now let's proceed further about the invertebrate group, the category. Next phyla, namely the mollusca. So these are all the soft-bodied animals. Though they have outer shell, normally they are considered as a soft-bodied animals. If you are comparing the total number of individuals in biodiversity, I mentioned already the insects constitute or the arthropods constitute nearly about 80% of the total number of individuals. And insects alone comprises of nearly 70% of the whole population of animals. But here, this is the next category under the biodiversity, the second largest phylum having more number of organisms. The next level of higher level of organisms we have in terms of number when compared to Arthropoda. Now, actually these are all the animals, soft-bodied animals, normally having just bilaterally symmetrical, you know that one, triploblastic animals. But with reference to the nature of the coelom, before just we started in the case of Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusca, we have a true coelom, but the name of the coelom is called schizocele. But in the case of these organisms, we have a type of coelom, what we call this one schizocele or schizocoelom. The animals are called schizocoelomate. So recall what you mean by schizocoelomate actually. So as in the case of Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusca, actually the coelom is developed by the splitting of mesoderm or from the mass of the cells. So suppose you are taking echinodermata, the chordata, they are entirely different from the schizocoelomate group. So Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusca, true coelomate animal groups, but they have schizocele, a coelom which is formed by the splitting of the mesodermal cells. That is why it's called schizocoelomate. So they are actually having different habitats. Some of them are aquatic, some of them are terrestrial, but some of them are also amphibious, leading double-like or dual-like like the frogs. And normally in the case of these animals, one of the characteristics, the animal body is unsegmented, no segmentation. But there is only one mollusk shows internal segmentation. That is why that mollusk is considered as a connecting link between annelids and the mollusk. We'll see the name of the animal later. So anyway, all the animals are soft body. And all are aquatic, terrestrial and amphibious mode of life. So some of them are aquatic, terrestrial and some of them are amphibious. The system of level of organization, you know that one, organ level of organization or organ system level of organization, they have definite organ and organ systems. So we are talking about the molluscan animals. So we have different fields of science, you know that one. So talking about this type of mollusk. So the study of mollusk is called malacology. The study of mollusk is called malacology. So just like you know that one, the study of insect is called entomology, and like that the study of mollusk is called malacology. So one of the important characteristic feature of that animal is the presence of a shell, calcium carbonate shell. So that is a peculiar character found in the case of these animals in order to give protection to the outer body, and that shell is normally made up of calcium carbonate and another chemical substance, an organic substance called king. And the study of the shell, so we have the shell is of different types and different forms of mollusks. Some of them are tubular, some of them are bivalve, some of them are spiral. So we have different organization of the shell. So the study of shell is known as conchology. The study of mollusk is called malacology. The study of shell is called conchology. Now, if you are taking the animal body normally there is no distinct differentiation of head actually. In most cases, head, then other structures. But generally we can say the body has head, a muscular, just foot. So the classification is made. The classification of mollusca, it includes different classes. The classification is made based on either the nature of the foot or on the nature of the shell. So these two are considered as a criteria for the classification of this group, the molluscan animal. So anyway, they have a muscular foot. In some cases it is tubular, in some cases it is wedge shaped, in some cases it is actually modified into arms. And based on the nature of the foot or based on the nature of the shell, we can have the different classes under this category or the phylum, the mollusca. So anyway, the criteria for classification of mollusca based on the shell nature or based on the foot nature. So the body is normally consists of head, a muscular foot and a visceral mass are also called visceral hand. Now the whole body is enclosed in a spongy, a soft muscular fold of skin, and that body is acting as a blanket covering the whole body of the organism, and that muscular structure is called as mantle. That structure is called mantle, and that mantle is responsible for the secretion of the skin. So who is the secretor of the shell? The shell is secreted by mantle, just a muscular fold of skin. A blanket-like structure covering the whole body, which is the one secreting what is called the shell. So if you take just the chemical nature of the shell, it is formed of both organic and inorganic compounds. So it is made up of the inorganic compound calcium carbonate plus an organic substance namely concave. Calcium carbonate and concave together form the shell. So normally if you are taking the shell, it is being differentiated to many layers. So the innermost layer is normally shiny in nature. So we received the pearl from the pearl oyster. The pearls are nothing but actually calcium carbonate. The original pearl is nothing but calcium carbonate. The calcium carbonate pearl is secreted by innermost layer of the shell. The innermost layer of the shell is called nacreous layer. The innermost layer of the shell is called nacreous layer. That layer is normally shiny in nature, and that is the one responsible for the formation of a pearl. A pearl is nothing but calcium carbonate. So the normal original pearl is normally not shiny, not glittering enough. Only the artificial one is shiny in nature. So how can you know that the pearl is original or shiny? So if you want to know, if you want to test whether it is original or artificial or synthetic pearl, you have to place the pearl in dilute hydrochloric acid or concentrated hydrochloric acid. If the pearl is being dissolved completely, then we can say that is the original pearl, because it is formed of only calcium carbonate mainly. And in the case of synthetic pearl, it is not formed of mainly calcium carbonate, some other materials. It is insoluble in what we have, that is in the case of concentrated and dilute hydrochloric acid. Now, I mentioned already, the shell is secreted by a fold of skin. The fold of skin is normally spongy, a soft skin, a muscular fold, acting as a blanket covering the whole body, and that also responsible for secreting the shell. Now, actually, as in the case of arthropods, so in the case of annelids or in the case of earthworm, we have what is called the closed circulatory system. We have closed circulatory system, and but here we have what we have the nature of the circulatory system, open circulatory system. So one question from that one. So someone asked what is a visceral heart? Simply a visceral mass. The various organ systems are compressed together to form a mass. The body of the animal is called visceral mass. In some cases we have a distinct head. In some cases we have a distinct foot. And the whole structure being modified, and that is because of one process, what is happening during the development. For example, in the case of arsenic, we have the body is spirally coiled. You cannot differentiate head, mass, etc. Now in the case of snakes, you can have the head. The body of a mollusk is called visceral heart. including the digestive, respiratory, almost the visceral organs are present. So we have the head, then the boss. Actually, we have, for example, the case of insect, we have the thorax region and abdominal region. No such regions being formed yet. Simply, we have a mass of the body, and that mass of the body is called visceral hump or visceral mass, and differentiated structures and segmented structure. Now, here the circulatory system is of open type. So that we have the body cavity is called hemocoel. We have the body cavity hemocoel, as in the case of arthropod. I mentioned already the case of leech. The system is called hemocoelic system. In the case of arthropod, it is called hemocoelic system. The meaning for hemocoelic system, normally the body cavity is filled with blood in colorless blood. So normally in the case of all earthworms or in the case of annelids, we have closed circulatory system, the blood is flowing through the blood vessels. But in the case of leech, there is a hemocoelic system. That means we have the body cavity filled with some blood. That is an exceptional case in the case of annelids. So when you say hemocoelic system, that means there is an open body cavity filled with blood. That is the meaning for the term. So the body cavity is called hemocoel. I mentioned earlier in the case of arthropod. The hemocoel is not a true body cavity. So it is developed partially from embryonic cells and partially from the embryonic, just what is called the blastocyst, and partially from that is coelomic cells. So that is why it is called, it is not considered as a true cell. In the case of arthropods and also in the case of actually the mollusks, the coelomic system or actually what is called the body cavity is restricted to only certain places where you have the excretory organs or the reproductive organs, where only we have a small spacious region. That spacious region represents what we have the body cavity. So anyway, the hemocoel, that is the body cavity, as it is filled with the blood, as in the case of arthropod or in the case of insects, it is called hemocoel. Now, a peculiar character. So normally for cutting the food, we have teeth for chewing, for mastication. So in the case of molluscan animals, there is a rasping organ. A rasping organ is nothing but a chewing organ. We have actually teeth for grinding. Just like in the case of mollusk in the buccal cavity, we have a rasping organ for masticating the food. So the rasping organ is normally file-like. A file-like rasping organ. Just simply the structure is like this. This is a structure, a ribbon-like structure made up of many chitinous teeth. This rasping organ is made up of chitin. The name of the rasping organ, just helping in feeding found in the buccal cavity, is called radula. It is one of the characters of mollusks. But this radula is absent in the case of bivalve mollusks. For example, we have in the case of the freshwater mussel or in the case of pure oyster, the radula is absent. So radula, a rasping organ found in the buccal cavity of most of the mollusks, but absent in the case of bivalves. It is absent in bivalves. The meaning for bivalves, animals having two pieces of shell. Say an example, the mussels, M-U-S-S-E-L-S, mussels, and these animals do not have radula. So rasping organ radula is present, one of the important characteristics of the molluscan animal. Then about the gills. So we have different types of gills. In some animals we know that the gills are needle-like. In some animals the gills are just like a plate. In some animals the gills are like a feather. See that one? So here the gills are feather-like. So such a feather-like gills are called ctenidia. The names are only different but the function is the same. So ctenidia, the feather-like gills we have. So plate-like gills, if it is plate-like, then we can say lamellary gills or lamella gills. So lamellibranchiata in the case of bivalves. So in the case of mollusk-like bivalves, we have plate-like gills. So anyway, normally the respiratory organs are mostly feather-like gills, what are called ctenidia. But in the case of animals like snails, an animal which is leading an amphibious mode of life, living both on land as in water, such animals have a peculiar pulmonary chamber. That is not actually original respiratory organ, a pulmonary chamber. When the animal is on land, the animal respirates with the help of pulmonary chamber. When it is found in water, it respirates with the help of gills. So, in the case of amphibious mammals, we have both the gills as well as pulmonary chamber for respiration. Now, regarding the circulatory system, what we have seen already, the body cavity is called hemocyte. The meaning for that one, the body cavity is open type. The circulatory system is a open type. Because the body cavity is filled with blood, there are no blood vessels. The organs are bathing in the blood. So that is happening in the case of open circulatory system. As in the case of arthropods, here also the circulatory system is of open type. Hence the body cavity is called just actually hemocoel. But in the case of advanced mollusk, there is one group of mollusks that is an advanced type. And even the case of the eye of that mollusk is comparable to the vertebrate eye, and that is the cephalopods, one group. The class Cephalopoda includes animals, what are called the cephalopods. They have closed type of circulatory system. So in the case of advanced mollusks like cephalopods, which includes for example the sea squid or loligo or cuttlefish, or even what we call this one the devilfish, octopus. So the octopus, the cuttlefish, the loligo, all coming under cephalopods. They have advanced actually structural organization. So they have closed circulatory system when compared to other mollusks. All other mollusks we have open circulatory system, but in this case only we have closed circulatory system. The animals are octopus, then we have cuttlefish, sepia, and then squid, sea squid, what is called loligo. We will see that one under the class Cephalopoda, the various examples. Now, though the circulatory system is of open type as in the case of arthropod, the circulatory system actually the blood is different from that of an insect or any other arthropods, excepting the crustaceans and also arachnids. So now in the case of arthropods, the blood is called hemolymph. It is a colorless blood. There are no respiratory pigments. There is a direct actual respiration. The tissue is normally obtaining its oxygen directly through the respiratory organs, not through the transport of oxygen or carbon dioxide by the blood cells, because the blood cells are colorless, not having any pigments at all. But in the case of crustaceans like prawn, I mentioned earlier, crab, and also in the case of spider, arachnids like spider, and also just what we have is scorpion. There you have one blue colored blood because of the presence of a copper containing respiratory pigment. That copper containing respiratory pigment is also formed in the case of all the mollusks. There are no exceptions. The name of the respiratory pigment is called hemocyanin, as in the case of arachnids and crustaceans. So, hemocyanin is a respiratory pigment. It contains copper, that is why it is blue in color. That is why the blood is also blue in color. And that is specific in the case of mollusks. In the case of arachnids, this type of pigment is formed in arthropod groups like arachnids, then crustaceans. So in these two groups, along with mollusca, we have a respiratory pigment, a copper containing respiratory pigment, which is blue in color because of the possession of copper and not actually a porosity group. And the same condition is prevalent here. So blue colored pigment hemocyanin is formed in arachnids, in crustaceans, and also in the case of mollusks. And these two are coming under the category of arthropoda. And but in the case of all mollusks, there is exclusively we have only the hemocyanin pigment and no other pigment form. Then about the excretory system. So normally we have different kinds of excretory organs in different animal groups. We have seen, for example, in arthropods either coxal glands or green glands or the Malpighian tubules in most cases. So here the respiratory organs are mainly tubular nephridia. There are two, what we call this one metanephridia. Tubular nephridia, what is called metanephridia. So in animal development we have three different types of nephridia: protonephridia, mesonephridia, metanephridia. This is based on the location of the formation of the kidneys or just actually the position. So an example, if you take the embryo like this is the embryo and this is the anterior part of the body, this is the posterior. If the nephridia or the kidney develops at the anterior part of the body, then it's called protonephridia, first of all. In some cases, there is no protonephridia. We have the formation of nephridia in the middle of the body. That is called mesonephridia. In some cases, we have the nephridia formed. Nephridia here referring to nothing but the kidney. The kidney formation occurs towards the posterior area. So accordingly, we have protonephridia, then mesonephridia and metanephridia. So no animal at present have this protonephric type. Only just in the case of a rare instance, even in the case of one jawless vertebrate mixing, there you have archinephridia, the ancient, the oldest one. Archinephridia are nothing but the protonephridia like that. So in the case of fishes and also in the case of amphibians, we have mesonephros type of kidney. In fishes and amphibians, we have mesonephros type of kidney. And in the case of reptiles, birds and mammals including human beings, reptiles, birds, mammals including human beings, we have metanephridia. Because the kidneys are developed at the posterior end of the body, you can analyze easily. Mesonephros in the case of fishes and amphibians, and the metanephros in the case of reptiles, birds and mammals including human beings. And only one animal, that is one jawless vertebrate, is having archinephridia. That is the nephridia of the ancestors. The nephridia of the ancestors, the past lived organisms. So anyway, the nephridia are nothing but actually here referring to the kidneys. So metanephridia, tubular type, found in the case of these animals, not like the kidneys of human beings or the mammals. Somehow the kidneys are formed. So they call us the kidneys. Now in the case of snails, there is another organ found doing the function of excretion, as in the case of earthworm you can see. So normally in the earthworm we have the nephridia. In addition to the nephridia, in the case of earthworm, there is a type of cell, what is called chlorovogen cells. The chlorovogen cells of earthworm are comparable to the liver. They are doing the function of what is called excretion. So like that in the case of snails, in addition to this metanephridia, we have organs of Vojanus. So found in the case of snails, or we can say gastropods. In the case of group gastropods, gastropoda, gastropods. So gastropoda, that is one of the classes that contains the snails, and then you have the organs of Vojanus. Now in the case of bivalves, that is another structure, what is called the pericordial gland or Keber's organ. Keber's organ. So this is the excretory organ found in the case of bivalves. In the case of bivalves, we have the excretory organs. So bivalves are the excretory organs. In the case of, I made a mistake. So in the case of bivalves, we have the excretory organs, the Keber's organ and the pericordial gland. So bivalves, nothing but we have the muscles. The muscles. So having two shells, two pieces of shell, that is what they call the bivalves. There you have the Keber's organ. So generally the organisms have metanephridia. In some cases we have organ of Vojanus, particularly in the case of gastropods, or we have the snails, and we have pericordial gland, the one which is found near the pericordial membrane of the heart of these animals. Somehow so-called heart is formed, and that is Keber's organ. Found in the case of muscles, the animal name, and the group bivalves. Now what is the nature of development? So these animals are actually dioecious. The meaning for that one sexes are separate. Different male and female animals are found, but it cannot differentiate by means of external means. And both male and females are looking alike. And these are all oviparous animals, laying eggs. And they have indirect development. When I use the word indirect development, that always denotes there is a larval stage. So we are using the indirect development in the case of animals. That means, for example, in the case of insect, there is a larva. And likewise here also there is a larva. That is why the development is indirect. If there is no larval stage, we can say the development is direct development. But here we have indirect development due to the possession of the larval stage during the development. Now what is the name of the larva? So there is a larva which is ciliated, and that is nothing but a modified trichophore larva of the annelids. Modified trichophore. So a ciliated larva called villager larva. That is the name of the larva, but we have in some others another name that is different. Generally the larva is called actually villager larva. having just a velum on membrane, that is where their larva is called veliger larva. It is a modified trochophore larva, the one which occurs in the life history of annelids, earthworms like animals. Not in the case of earthworm, there is no larval stage. In the case of males, there is a larval stage. Generally speaking, in the case of annelids, there is a larval stage. The name of the larva is called trochophore larva. It is a modified actual trochophore larva in the case of annelids. It is being modified into another larva in the case of mollusk veliger. A slight modification, possession of a membrane, that's all. So that is why this trochophore larva is considered as a connecting link between the annelids and the mollusk. So because of the possession of the similar larva between these two groups, let us assume that they have been descended from common ancestor. So that is why the trochophore larva is considered as a connecting link between the mollusk and the annelids, as the larva is similar in both cases. Then, so these are some of the general characteristics referring to the nature of the molluscan animals, soft-bodied animals having the shell. And now let's go to the classification. What are the different groups? It is the second largest phylum having a number of classes. I mentioned earlier the classification is based on the nature of the shell or based on the nature of the foot. So accordingly, now let's take the classification. Class number 1, Aplacophora. It's a negative word. So, it denotes the absence of actually the shell, mantle and also foot. So, this group includes only the primitive mollusk. When we are saying primitive, some of the original characters possessed by other animals of that group being degenerate or not developed or in the rudimentary state. So, these animals, actually this group includes animals which are normally primitive animals or primitive mollusks. The animals are called solenogastrous. Why are they called solenogastrous? They are just like a tubular stomach. The verb is actually, it is not at all looking like a mollusk. It is a worm-like tubular, just like a tubular stomach of the, for example, the roundworm or even the case of frog. That is why the name is given as actually solenogastrous. But the animal name, one of the examples, Neomania. Now it comes later. So, animals without shell, foot and mantle, so commonly called as solenogastrous or tube stomach. So I mentioned already primitive worm-like mollusk, all are marine nature, no representative in fresh water, and all the structures mainly considered as the important characteristics of mollusk being absent, namely the shell, foot and mantle. So all the structures are absent. So a primitive worm-like marine mollusk without any structures like shell, foot and mantle, example Neomania. Now the next group is more important one as per economic point of view, just actually evolutionary point of view we can see. Class Monoplacophora. So having only one shell piece. The shell is single and plate-like. The animals, that is why called Monoplacophora. Aplacophora without shell and with one. Now one molluscan animal, what is called Neoplina galathea. So the name species Galathea was given to this Neoplina because it was a recently discovered mollusk in 1954. And people were just going for search of just actually the statistical data, collecting data from this mesh, and there is a marine individuals. The name of the ship Galathea. So while they were actually searching for the animals here and there for studies, they found a new mollusk, and that mollusk was Neoplina, that was discovered in 1954. That's why the name is given, Neoplina galathea. Galathea, the name of the ship. Now, what is the importance of this one? So I mentioned already. Number one, recently discovered mollusk. And secondly, it is considered as a living fossil. So one, recently discovered mollusk. The second one, a living fossil. So, what is the meaning of living fossil? So, this animal formed actually during the Cambrian period, one of the periods of Paleozoic era, the earliest period of actually Paleozoic era. So, in the case of Paleozoic era, where we are just dividing the geological time scale, the Cambrian period, you know that one, Ordovician, Silurian, Cambrian, just Devonian, Permian, Mississippian, Pennsylvanian. These are all the periods of what is called Paleozoic era. And these animals just presumed to be appeared during what is called the Cambrian period. and having the same structure when it was born at present also. So without any change in its organization, the body organization, when it was actually born in this world, and having the same organization without any modifications. And such an organism which does not respond to evolution, which has remained unchanged over millions of years, is called as a living fossil. An organism which remained unchanged, like for example king crab, what I mentioned earlier in the case of arthropods, king crab, just what is called the limbless. And that one, like that, here also is a living fossil formed during the Cambrian period millions of years back, but possessing the same character what it had when it originated in this earth. Such an organism which remained unchanged over millions of years without undergoing any change, considered as a living fossil. So, number one, actually recently discovered mollusk, and number two, living fossil, and one more character. It is a connecting link between Annelida and arthropoda. Sorry, Annelida and mollusk. Connecting link between Annelida and mollusk. So you know that one, a connecting link is the one having the characteristics of two different groups. So it is also called integral forms, also called transitional forms. So actually the connecting link forms are called the integral forms or the transitional forms, as they have or as they are possessing the characteristics of two different groups. That's why they consider as a link between the two groups, or connecting link, or transitional forms, or the integral forms. So as this mollusk, so one of the molluscan character, unsegmented body. But in the case of this mollusk, we have the body is segmented internally. So the presence of internal segmentation indicated that this animal has been descended from just another like ancestor. That is why it is a connecting link. So three important characteristics: recently discovered mollusk, a living fossil, and a connecting link between Annelida and the mollusk. Then class number 3, polyplacophore. So that means the shell is made up of many pieces. So the shell is normally dorsal in the case of these animals. For example, chiton. The shell is normally dorsal, made up of 8 pieces like this. The shell is made up of 8 pieces. That is why the name is given polyplacophora. So shell is dorsal with 8 plates, as in the case of chiton, the common name or chiton, just actually what is called the chetoplura. In the case of chiton or chetoplura, we have shell is made up of just 8 pieces. That is why the name polyplacophora. So in the case of this animal, another peculiar character, there is a ladder-like nervous system. In the case of chiton, there is another character, there is a ladder-like nervous system. Then class number 4, gastropoda. So you might have seen the snail, the one which is moving, having its shell on its back, a spirally coiled shell. So one of the distinctive characters of this class, gastropoda, the shell is spirally coiled, and the mouth and foot are brought together, all body muscles put together in the form of a spirally coiled structure. What is the reason for the spiral nature of the body organization? It is not only because of the shell, but actually there is one phenomenon what is called as torsion. Torsion is responsible for the spiral coiling of the body. So during embryonic development, there is one process, what is called torsion, and that resulted in the formation of a spirally coiled shell in the case of gastropods like snail. So the shell is actually made up of only one piece, any one. Know that one, the shell is very simple organization. You may have seen just this one. So actually, the shell is made up of only one piece. That one is also spirally coiled. The spiral nature is due to the torsion during the embryonic development. That is why the animal body is spirally coiled. That is why I mentioned, you see that one during embryonic development, the visceral mass undergoes torsion. That is why the body becomes twisted. Now what are the examples? The common examples, you know that one, apple snail or pond snail like Phyla globosa, apple snail. And one question related to the examination point of view applies here. The animal is lodged without shell, animal without shell, and looking like what is called a mask, looking like a rabbit. That is why the name is given sea hare. And also another one, that is patella, limpet, that is spirally coiled, elongated tubular structures. So these are some of the animals. That is, for example, Pila aplysia, a large mouse without shell, looking like a rabbit. That's why the name is given as sea hare, aplysia. Then, so an animal having the name of just a mammal, animal having the name of a mammal, but not a true mammal. So which one of the following is not a true mammal? Nothing but the sea hare or aplysia. Then, class Capopoda. Now these individuals are normally called as tusk shell. These individuals are normally called as a tusk shell. So one animal by name Dendalium, the shell is like what is called a tusk, elephant's tusk. Very small, about 2 inches long only, the shell. And that animal hence called tusk shell, also called as a tooth shell, because it is very small like a tooth and also having just a tooth like margin. So Scapopoda includes Dendalium, tusk shell. So animal having the name of an elephant's tusk, looking like the tusk of an elephant, hence the name given tusk shell. Now class Pelecypoda. So normally when you are talking about actually the economically important animals, only 3 phyla in the case of invertebrata, they are economically important. One, you have the Coelotrata group, where you have the corals. The second one, we have Arthropoda, where you have 3 useful beneficial insects like for example the silkmoth, the honeybees and the lac insect. And the third phylum, which is of economic importance, the class Pelecypoda of Alaska. So it is called Pelecypoda because the food is wedge-shaped. It is called lamellibranchiata because actually the gills are like a plate arranged in the form of lamella. This class is also called bivalvia because the shell is made up of 2 pieces. So this is one piece and here the second piece. Between the 2 pieces of shell we have actually the body is formed. So based on the food, based on the just actually the gills and based on that is the shell pieces, the name is given. So the animal has a shell with the 2 walls, what I mentioned earlier. And also the food is wedge-shaped, hence the name Pelecypoda. And the gills are plate-like, hence the name, just what is called lamellibranchiata. Now one of the peculiar characters I mentioned earlier, there is no radula found in the case of this class Pelecypoda. But instead there is another structure found in the stomach. The name of the structure, a rod-like structure, a crystalline rod. A crystalline rod is found actually in the stomach of these animals, and these structures are actually concerned with the digestion of starch. So, an animal having crystalline structure in its stomach, and that is helpful for the digestion of starch, that is the animal, the muscles, or simply we can say the bivalves. So crystalline starch is found in the digestive tract, particularly in the stomach, concerned with the digestion of starch. Then another peculiar character, not only in the case of bivalvia, but also in the case of gastropods. So in the case of bivalves and gastropods, there is another structure. To test the quality of water, whether the water is acidic or alkaline, or to test the quantity of sediment found in it, the purity, to test the purity of water. So normally, in the case of bivalves and gastropods, there is a chemoreceptor organ. There is a chemoreceptor organ, what is called aspergillum. So aspergillum is a chemoreceptor organ considered as a sense organ that is normally found to test the quality of water, whether the water is acidic or alkaline, or how much amount of sediment found in that water, because actually the water is entering in the body for bathing the gills for respiratory purpose. So if it is acidic or alkaline, the animal cannot tolerate such acidity or alkalinity. It needs just a normal pH, and that is being tested before the water enters into the body for bathing the cells for respiration, and that structure is called aspergillum. So it is a chemoreceptor organ found in the case of bivalves and gastropods for testing the quality of water and also the amount of sediment found in it. Then, generally in the case of molluscan forms, we have a larva, what is called the trochophore, a modified trochophore, a well-aged larva. But in the case of this animal, there is a larval form. In the case of bivalves, an example, mussels. And the name of the larva is called Glaucidium. But it's not a free-living larva. The adult is free-living, But the larva is a parasitic one, a parasitic larva. It leads a parasitic mode of life that is on the body of fish, that too in the gill chamber. And that is the name of the larva, Glaucidium. So Glaucidium, a parasitic larva found in the case of just the animals like mussels, that is bivalves during the development, and lives in the just what is called the gill chamber of such animals. Once they are attaining maturity, they become a free living one, and before that one, the larval stage is a parasitic life. Now you have some of the examples. Eolium, that is the freshwater mussel. Mytilus, that is called what is known as a marine, actually the mussel. Now we have economic important one, Pinctada, the pearl oyster. I mentioned already synthetic one is different from the natural one. The natural pearl is normally calcium carbonate secreted by the nacreous layer of the shell. Nacreous layer of the shell. So the Pinctada is an economically important animal, a valuable one. You know that one we are making use of oysters actually for producing the pearl for making ornaments. Then pecten, normally called as scallop. Then peridot, another economically important one. So when we are talking about economic importance, we have to go on either side, the beneficial activities as well as harmful activities. Now this peridot, it is normally called as a ship borer because it causes damage to the wood of the ship. So it makes actually holes. That's why it's called a wood borer, peridot. A ship borer, because it is looking like what is called a worm-like animal, causing damage to the wood, makes hole, and so that makes the ship to sink, and the wood of what is called a small boat, etc. So that's why it's called a wood borer or ship borer. So these two are economically important animals. One is a pearl oyster, another one peridot. Now the last one, the advanced mollusk. We have the advanced mollusk, what is called the cephalopoda class. So it is the advanced mollusk. I mentioned already, one with a closed circulatory system. And another character, the eye of, for example, octopus, or eye of what is called sepia. So it is complicated, just like the vertebrate eye. So the eye of octopus or a cephalopod is comparable to the eye of vertebrate, but they are all actually having different origin. Origin different, but function is same. You know that one. Organs having different origin but perform similar function are said to be analogous organs. That is in terms of evolution. So different origin but similar function. So for example, the eye of octopus and the eye of, for example, vertebrate and any frog or even human beings, more or less having the same function, what is called the vision. Function is same, but origin wise they have different origin. Such organs having different origin and same function are said to be what are called analogous organs. Now, in the case of such cephalopods, the shell may be present or absent. In most cases, we have the shell, internal shell, but in the case of this one, octopus, the shell is absent. So, in the case of sepia, there is a cuttlefish. In the case of lodigo or the squid, we have a shell is present internally. Then, one of the peculiar characters for locomotion, for doing other activities, the foot here modified into arms, either 8 arms as in the case of octopus or 10 arms as in the case of sepia, the cuttlefish, or loligo, the squid. So the foot is modified into arms. And in the case of sepia, and there is one question also, that sepia normally called as a cuttlefish, sepia cuttlefish. And it contains ink glands, an organ of what is called defense. When some enemies are approaching, the animal releases the ink particles from the ink glands so that the water becomes gloomy, and as a result the animal escapes. So ink glands are found in the case of sepia, commonly called as a cuttlefish. So an animal having the name of fish but not a true fish, that is a sepia. Another one, the devilfish, for example, the octopus. So having 8 arms, sepia having just 10 arms. The devilfish, an animal having a fish name but not a fish, that is octopus. Now the loligo, squid. So it is also looking like what is called the cuttlefish, but it is somewhat narrower. The posterior end is more or less triangular, and that is also become the largest squid. That is the largest invertebrate, Orchiteuthis. This is called the giant squid. So molluscan wise it is the largest, and then invertebrate wise it is the largest living invertebrate, largest living mollusk. So that is about actually the circulatory system. Normally in the case of cephalopods, the only mollusk having closed circulatory system, and others did not have a closed circulatory system unlike this mollusk, because in other mollusks we have hemocoel and open type of circulatory system. Now the next one, phylum Echinodermata. So the animals named so because they have a spine on the surface of the body, namely on the skin. So spiny skinned animals, Echinodermata, spiny skinned animals. Now these animals are similar to chordates in two aspects. One, based on the nature of the coelom. So chordate is similar to Echinodermata in having enterocoelom. And second, and both are deuterostomes. So these two are the main similarities between the chordates and echinoderms. So the echinoderms have enterocoelom and also they have deuterostome. That means the mouth is formed at a later stage of development. So the echinoderms and chordate are included under deuterostomia. And the nature of the coelom, as the coelom is developed from the archenteron in the form of pouches, it is called enterocoelom. That's the main similarity. Though it is, this one is invertebrate and that one is chordate. So the animals are enterocoelomate with organ level of organization. And a peculiar character here. If you are taking the symmetry, the adult animal shows pentaradial symmetry. Radial symmetry, pentaradial, because there is a central disc and 5 radially cones, hence pentaradial symmetry. But the larvae exhibit bilateral symmetry. That means the pentaradial symmetry of the adult is secondarily developed. So this is the primary, just development, the bilateral symmetry. Now the pentaradial symmetry is developed secondarily. So in the case of these animals, another similarity, so I would like to say another similarity between this group Echinodermata and also Chordata. So one is enterocoelom, another one actually deuterostomes. The third one, in both the cases we have mesodermal endoskeleton. In both the cases, in the case of Chordata as well as in the case of Echinodermata, we have mesodermal endoskeleton. The endoskeleton is derived from the mesoderm. So mesodermal endoskeleton, deuterostome condition, and also enterocoelomic condition. These are all the three major similarities between the echinoderms and the chordates. Now we have this, actually the spine is found on the surface of the body. That is what the animal name, that is echinoderms, having spines, spiny skinned animals. And now this endoskeleton is in the form of calcareous plates, and they are all joined together to form the whole body. Such calcareous plates are called ossicles. This is one. Now another important character, as canal system is peculiar to the sponges. Here the echinoderms are provided with a peculiar system, what is called water vascular system, also called as umbilical system. Water vascular system, also called as umbilical system. So normally a vascular system, you have blood vascular system or lymph vascular system. Either blood is circulating or lymph is circulating. But here in this case, a system of tubes in which water is circulating. That's why it's called water vascular system, found only exclusively in echinoderms. So that is also called umbilical system, water vascular system. Now what is the main function of this water vascular system? So it is concerned with, for example, locomotion, because it is connected with some structures, namely tube feet for locomotion, for capturing the food, for transportation of food, and also for respiration. So the locomotion, capturing food and respiration are the functions of a structure, namely tube feet. So tube feet are the organs of locomotion. They are not only used for locomotion but also for capturing the food but also for respiration. These are all the three main functions examination point of view, that is very important. And now this water vascular system, actually to this only the tube feet are connected. The tube feet are connected to this water vascular system. And that is why the functions of water vascular system is the functions of that is tube feet. So tube feet are organs of respiration, organs of locomotion, organs for capturing the food. But we have specific respiratory organs. Now, on the surface of the skin, we have some respiratory structures are present in the form of filaments. They are nothing but the gills. As they are found on the surface of the skin, they are called as skin gills, technically called dermal branchiae. So, we have skin gills or dermal branchiae or the organs of respiration. But in addition to that one, in the case of sea cucumber, an animal coming under this category, that animal has in the clavicle chamber a pair of respiratory trees. A pair of respiratory trees called as the clavicle respiratory trees. A peculiar character. So formed in the clavicle chamber through which the waste products are eliminated, and that one contains what is called the respiratory branches, a filamentous structure, a pair of filamentous structures constituting the respiratory trees. Then the digestive system is very simple. If you are taking the starfish, it is being flat. We have the anus on the upper side or the oral side, and the mouth on the lower side or the ventral side is also called the oral side. So there are no special excretory organs. Simply we have some amoebocytes are floating in the water vascular system. They are concerned with actually the removal of the waste materials. And the sexes are separate. These are all the dioecious animals, and normally the fertilization is external and the animals are oviparous. And during development there is a larval stage, so we can say indirect development, there is a free-swimming larva. And in the case of chordate, we know that in the case of deuterostomes, I mentioned already the nature of the cleavage is radial and indeterminate. In the case of proterostomes, for example, Anabilatum mollusca, and we have actually the nature of cleavage is spiral and determinate, but here radial and indeterminate type of cleavage. So in this aspect also the echinoderms similar to that of chordates. So in four aspects we can compare these echinoderms more or less similar to the chordates. One, the enterocoelom, two, the deuterostome, and now the radial, just the type of cleavage, and also the fourth one, mesodermal endoskeleton, as in the case of chordates. Here also we have the same. Now, one of the peculiar characters only in the invertebrate and three animal groups, for example, Hydra of cylindrite, Planaria of platyhelminthes, and the starfish of echinoderms, they have a remarkable power of what is called the regeneration. They have the ability of actually regenerating the last parts. So, the power of regeneration is always great in these three animals, Hydra, sponges, Planaria, along with the fourth one, what we call the starfish. And during the process, they exhibit another phenomenon, what is called autotomy. Suppose an enemy is actually approaching, it cuts its own part of the body and escapes. That process called autotomy. This is nothing but self-mutilation or self-amputation. Cutting its own part of the body is called self-amputation or self-mutilation. That is also called autotomy. That is seen in the case of starfish, peculiarly starfish. So that shows remarkable power of regeneration. So the last part once again reform. Now the classification. So it includes 5 classes. Now one Asteroidea, which includes mainly the starfish, Asterias rubens or Asteriopecten, etc. We have a number of organisms, different species. And in the case of Asteroidea, in the case of starfish, on the surface of the body we have what is called the spine. The spines are modified into pincer-like bodies. Pincer-like bodies, like this. Pincer-like bodies. This is pincer-like, just like forceps. Just like forceps. These pincer-like bodies, which are actually a modified spine found on the body of starfish, are called pedicellaria, used for cleaning the body surface. So pedicellaria, modified spine, a pincer-like body formed in the case of starfishes. And the name of the larva, you have to mention the name of the larva for each just a class, because in all cases we have bilaterally symmetrical but have different names. Here the larva is called brachylaria or bipinnaria larva. So the name of the larva is called bipinnaria or brachylaria. Now Crinoidea, the most primitive class, the oldest one and the most primitive forms. And we have one question repeatedly, the sea-lily antedon, attached forms, looking like a sea, actually a lily flower, hence the name sea lily. So, but actually we have to say one thing here. All animals coming under echinodermata are marine animals, without exceptions, all are marine. Then another one, feather star, neometra. Now here the name of the larva, Doliolaria larva. Larva, Doliolaria. Now class Ophiuridia. The name is given because the arms are normally highly flexible, looking like the snake's tail. That is why the name is given Ophiuridia. Ophidia, one of the classes. So ophiology, the study of snake. So here the arms are flexible, unlike the starfish, just like the snake's tail. Snakes are tail. That is why the name is given. So the name of the larva here, Ophiocluteus larva. Example, you have Ophiura, Ophiothrix, commonly known as the brittle stars, Gorgonocephalus, commonly known as the basket star. Now class Echinoidea, here the body is ovoid, with spines, as in the case of porcupine. So you see small spines, more spines are present on the globular body, hence the name just actually Echinoidea. So echinus, that is hedgehog. So the one peculiar character, as in the case of, for example, millipede, here the mouth, you see one masticated apparatus. The name of the masticated apparatus is structure looking like Aristotle's land, and hence the name Aristotle's land. So the masticated structure found in the mouth of sea urchin is called Aristotle's land. So development includes one larval form, what is called Echinocluteus. The examples are sea urchin, Salmacis, Echinodiscus, Sandolus, Echinocordium. You see that one heart urchin. Another one Clypeaster, normally known as a cake urchin, also called as a biscuit storm. Now the last one, class Holothuridia. So in the case of Holothuridia, which includes the sea cucumbers, the umbilical system. So in the case of this one, so we have the development includes Echinocluteus larva. The examples are Salmacis, sea urchin, Echinodiscus, that is Sandola, Echinocordium, based on the shape, heart urchin, and Clypeaster, cake urchin. Now class Holothuridia, here in this class you see the body is elongate, oroagorally. The system by name, what is called the water vascular system or the umbilical system. The umbilical grooves are absent. Here. So the body is elongated, looking like a cucumber. I mentioned earlier, in the case of these animals, you don't have any arms. So the body is elongated like a cucumber. And also these animals have the respiratory trees in the clavicle chamber for respiration. Okay, so that is about Holothuridia. The name of the larva under this group is called Auricularia. So in all cases we have different types of larvae. Starfish, Bipilaria or Brachylaria. In the case of Crinidia, we have what is called Doliolaria larva. In the case of Ophiuridia, Ophiocluteus larva. In the case of Echinidia, Echinofluteus larva. Now here the name of the larva, Auricularia. So the body is elongated, just like a cucumber. Hence the animal is called Cucumaria, normally known as sea cucumber. As the body is very much flat, just very fat in nature. This animal is also called as fat bones. And also another nickname for this one, earthworm of the sea, also called gigantic caterpillars. So the cucumbers, the sea cucumbers, normally called as the fat bones or earthworm of the sea or gigantic caterpillars. Together the scientific name called Cucumaria. All are marine. So these are some of the characteristics related to. So the peculiar system found here, the different larval stages, but the larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. And also the water vascular system, the presence of 2 feet, no excretory organs. We have the skin gills, the dermal branchiae, the one used for actual respiration, all being present. So the peculiar category is mainly presence of water vascular system. So just I would like to compare once again the echinodermata and chordata. So both are similar in certain aspects. Number 1, deuterostome. Number 2, enterocoel. Number 3, mesodermal endoskeleton. and number 4, the nature of cleavage. In both the cases, we have radial and indeterminate type of cleavage. So in these 4 aspects, we have the echinoderms as well as chordates more or less same. So mesodouble skeleton, enterocoelom, deuterostome, and also the last character what I mentioned. So this is also, that is what we have with reference to. So compare these things in that manner one. Okay, right. So far we've seen actually the different categories coming under this what is called echinodermata. Let's see some of the diagrams related. Now, brittle stalk. I mentioned already here the arms are highly flexible. So the arms are looking like what is called the snake's tail. Hence the name, that is of Uridia. So the brittle stalk lying on branches, the colorful branches. Now this is a sea lily antidon, attached forms. Having you see that one, the arms are highly branched, giving the appearance of a lily flower, hence called sea lily antidon. Very important question also. Antidon, sea lily coming under echinodermata. Now this is sea urchin, Salmacis bicolor. This is the one having what is called the Aristotle's lantern, the masticated structure found in its mouth. Sea urchin, echinodermata, that is. And now this is what is called gigantic caterpillar, a gigantic what is called earthworm or the fat worm, the elongated body, the sea cucumber. The one which doesn't have the umbilical system or the umbilical groove possessing what is called the tube of feet. The animal is moving by means of caterpillar-like movement, and this is animal having what is called the gills. In the clavicle chamber, they have the gills. So one pair of branched gills are formed. That is the respiratory trees normally called. That is the respiratory organ in the case of this one. And there is a starfish. You know that once in all you have just a central disc and 5 radiating arms. The upper side is called the arboreal side and the lower one is called the oral side. We have the anus only on the upper side and the mouth on the oral side. So oral side, the ventral side. The topmost side is called the dorsal side, but we are using the word arboreal side. Now this is what I mentioned, that is loligo, sea squid, having 10 arms. The animal is exhibiting what is called jet-like movement. So let's see about this one later once again. So actually sea squid, loligo. This is normally called as loligo. And this is a common snail. You know that when you see this shell is spirally coiled. The animal is proceeding with a spirally coiled shell formed on its dorsal surface. So, and that too the body inside, namely the visceral hump, the visceral mass is also spirally coiled. This is because of one phenomenon, what we call this one torsion. So with that we concluded that biodiversity regarding the invertebrate group. We'll see in the next class something about actually the general aspects of invertebrate, some of the questions, discussions, etc. So with this I conclude. If you have any questions, you are most welcome to ask and post your questions. I'll answer it. If it is not so now, I'll answer it in the next class. Thank you. The class is complete.